All right, so this is going to be a reading for Sagittarius. And for the Sagittarius that I'm reading for today, I'm seeing that you're going through a period of endings and beginnings. And as you kind of go through that, you may be in a period of resting, of healing. And this really serves as a time for you to put yourself first, to take care of yourself, to center yourself and reconnect with yourself. And for many of you, I'm seeing that this is just a small time of healing. It's like a rest period, a break after something ended, before something else begins. But you may not see it that way, or you may not realize that this is just a small period of time. In the grand scheme of things, it is, but to you, it may feel bigger. So that's what this reading's going to be about, and I'm going to dive into these energies deeper in a second. But before I do, I just want to say thank you so much for being here and for receiving this reading. If you would like a personal reading, I do offer them, and you can email me down below in the description box. And if this reading resonates with you, please take a second to like and subscribe. And I also just want to say happy birthday to all the Sagittarius suns who may have already had their birthday or are having it soon. I love you guys so much, and I'm thinking of you, and I hope that you feel celebrated during your season. So let's see what we have here. Like I said, you're going through this rest period, and it may feel like things are kind of standing still for you, and your mind's going to try to make sense of this time period and kind of be like, what's the point, But through all of this, there's actually a lot of healing going on that's really necessary for you. And so if this feels like a time that's confusing or overwhelming, or you're not really sure what's going on, try to see the larger purpose of it and see that there's a pause for a reason there. And I'm seeing that as you move forward, you may kind of struggle to accept that things are going at the pace that they're going at. You're showing me like a real drive for the next thing, for something new, passion, excitement. You're like, when's it going to come? But there could be a bit of an obsession with looking for the next thing that could actually kind of weigh you down. So definitely something to be aware of. Now, I want to go deeper into all of these energies and kind of clarify. So your overall energy for the reading is the World card, and the World card represents the closing and the opening of cycles. And often when I talk about cycles, people ask me, AJ, what does that mean? Like, what is a cycle? How do I know that it's closing? How do I know that it's opening? What do I do with this? All of that. So I want to take a second to just talk about cycles. When we think about the passage of time and relationships and energies in our life, we can think of them as a circle. So it doesn't have a beginning or an ending, but we're in the middle of something that's going around in sort of a circular motion. And a cycle is sort of how we locate ourselves within that circle. And do we find ourselves in the beginning of going around the same loop? Do we find ourselves at the end of a loop that maybe we noticed just happened? And then say we've gone around that loop once, are we going to go around it again? Are we going to open up a different cycle? What's coming next, and what have we experienced already is sort of the question that thinking in cycles and understanding cycles kinds of help us answer. And the reason why cycles are a significant symbol within spirituality is because we can think of the life cycle as you're born, you experience things, you move through the cycle of life, and then you die. Whether you're a lizard, a flower, a person, you go through these cycles, right? And there's also cycles on a larger scale. There's seasonal cycles, there's planetary cycles, there's galactic cycles, patterns that our world sort of moves through. And it can be really helpful to identify these cycles and to think of them in such a way so that we can kind of ask ourselves, where am I? And kind of locate ourselves in this way. And so when I say that there's a cycle beginning or closing, I'm saying that you've been through some type of journey, or you're about to start some type of journey that has a beginning, middle, and an end. And there's a question at the end of that cycle. Are you going to repeat the cycle? Are you going to go through similar energies? Are you going to experience similar things? Are you going to learn similar lessons? Or are you going to start something new? And the reason it can also be helpful to think about cycles is because it also helps us think about endings. And when we get to endings, what do we do with them? Um, do we grieve? Do we process? Do we cry? Are we excited? What's kind of going on there at the end? Because the ending can help us understand the beginning. And in that way, a cycle can close out and we can start another cycle. And it's really interesting that we have the world coming out here and that I feel compelled to talk so much about cycles, because for many Sagittariuses who are listening to this channel, it might be your literal birthday when you're listening to this. For others of you, it might not be. These are timeless readings, but it might be your birthday, and a birthday is a cycle, and the world represents 1 year. And so we can also think of cycles as years, and what happened in a year, where did the year begin, where did it end, what happens in between, and where are you going from here. So this is all to say that you may be feeling the circular nature of life, or some type of circle, some type of beginning, some type of ending, etc., etc. And there is a specific cycle that is being pointed out for the Sagittariuses who are listening to this specific reading, and that's what I'm going to be talking about. And so I'm seeing that there could have been something or someone that at one point felt really aligned for you. And there was some type of breakage there, so some type of ending. And I'm seeing that there could be some distance between you now, possibly as a result of an ending or some type of conflict or whatever it was. I can't see exactly what it was. But you're showing me the moving on process. You're showing me that cycle of love, of care, and then that it came to an end. And that's kind of where I'm reaching you at this point. If this reading is resonating for you, and if it resonates for you as I move forward, this reading will reach you kind of as you're moving through this ending or this separation. And this was someone or something that meant quite a lot to you. So whatever this cycle was kind of has this imprint on your heart. There's some type of soul lesson here. For many of you, there could be a karmic lesson, which means that you went through this experience to learn something, to experience something specific. And that's kind of where I find you as I come into this reading today. And specifically, you're at this point at the end of this cycle where you are healing. You're moving through a healing process, and it kind of requires you to put yourself first. And if you've struggled to put yourself first, this could feel really jarring. It could feel like I don't know what I'm doing, or I don't have a purpose. And the purpose is you. So if you need something to focus on yourself. So I'm going to clarify here and see what's going on in this healing period. So I'm seeing here that you could be taking some time from exploring or going out in the world. For some of you, I'm seeing that you could be staying inside literally, but there's some sort of like self-expression that is almost being blocked at this time so that you can connect with kind of a different part of yourself. And you're showing me a lot of love and care and sort of material stability, almost like building up your self-love by building up like your home or an environment, maybe spending a lot of time at home. And when you spend time at home or you spend time with yourself, it does provide you with something, maybe like some ability to take care of yourself or some much needed time, something that you needed in order to take care of yourselves. For some of you, I'm hearing you could just be spending hours like sleeping or meditating or, I don't know, doing your nails and showering. It's a very, like I'm taking care of myself. I'm loving myself more than I ever have. For many of you, it might feel kind of indulgent or kind of new, like I've never actually done this before. But it's something that builds you up, sort of. And it's almost like you direct all of this loving kind of energy to yourself, and it looks much needed here. And there could be sort of this question that's kind of outstanding of like, what do I do after this? Or what's sort of the purpose? Or, you know, when am I going to need to come back to reality here? Or something like that. Yeah. It's almost like you're taking a break from the world in order to take care of yourself. And then you're kind of asking, like, when does it end? Or what do I do when this period ends, or something like that? And it's like, well, that's not really the point. The point is for you to just take this time to take care of yourself. And your oracle cards today are flowering, healing, and change. So as you pour this love into yourself and as you focus on healing in like a whole new way, it's actually ushering in this larger level change. We can really think of our bodies and our souls as these energy centers. And not only are you a collection of your own energy, but you actually radiate out energy into the world. And as you heal yourself and give to yourself, that actually allows your energy to flower here and to open up. And something kind of changes really divinely. And something that I'm thinking about that's coming to mind, you know, when you watch a time traveling movie and the person goes back in time, right? And they change one little thing, like maybe they wear a different pair of shoes, and it changes the whole course of time forever. And the whole movie is about them, I don't know, putting on this different pair of shoes. And it really makes you think, wow, like every little thing can create a change in the fabric of time. But on the flip side of that, we don't often think everything depends upon which pair of shoes I wear today, right? In that kind of larger macro way of like everything's interconnected and every small choice leads to a larger choice. We do when we watch those time traveling movies and we look back and we say, wow, they should have worn this pair of shoes or something. But often we're like, oh, it doesn't really matter what I do, right? And then what you end up with that sort of energy is people really not taking care of themselves, because they're like, it doesn't really matter one way or another if I shower or not today, or if I just sit in bed and play video games all day, because we kind of forget, right, how everything is sacred and how everything's interconnected and how powerful our energy bodies are. And so even if it feels small, or even if it feels like there's nothing really happening on the surface, there's actually this huge shift that's taking place by you focusing on your own energy. And it's almost like you're planting the seeds, where if you plant the seed of that energy, that plant isn't going to sprout immediately. It's going to sprout maybe in a couple weeks or a few months, or even in some cases years, depending on the type of plant. And that's kind of how I see this right now, is you're planting a seed within your energy so that that healing can create a beautiful flower and something new can kind of emerge. But it's not going to be something that appears right away. And so to your logical mind, you could be kind of confused, or you could kind of be like, what's the point? What's the purpose? And that's why I want to remind you that the purpose here is actually you. Now that healing energy is really at the center of your reading today with the star card and also with the oracle card healing. So I want to take a look at that healing energy here. Sagittarius, you have a really beautiful heart space that wants to open up. Like, it wants to flower and bloom and open and share with the world. You want to devote yourself to something meaningful. And it's almost like you have to like repair or make repairs on your heart so that it can open up again, so that it can be super free. And there's some type of blockage to your heart space that you've been healing. I can see it here. And so during this time, it's almost like your heart is closed for business and it needs some healing, some repair, so it can open up and be offered again. And so that's kind of how I want you to think about this, is like, it's not like you're wasting time. It's not like you're being selfish. It's that your actual heart, it needs like an oil change, or it needs a checkup, or it needs a massage or something. Really interesting. And so I see you taking the time out for that and kind of just being held in suspension kind of while you work on your heart, or while you repair your heart, or maybe while the universe kind of helps you repair your heart. Yeah, I see you kind of taking a break from connecting with other people and other energies. There might be a specific relationship that you have to step away from, or just in general, I see you kind of almost like getting off the train. If you could think of like all your relationship possibilities in different cars of a train, and you're like stepping off the train completely. You're like, I just need to pause. I need to take a time out. And so to other people, it might look kind of dramatic. This is going to show up differently for different people. For others, other people might not see it at all, but it's something that you're kind of moving through within yourself. But yeah, I definitely get the feeling that you're kind of stopping the train here and saying, hang on a second, we have to make some repairs. So kind of interesting in that sense. Now to you, it may look like everything is stopping on the surface so that you can go within. It's almost like when you shut off the lights at night so you can go to sleep, and you kind of shut off the day and you shut off your life for a second so that you can have this really deep internal experience. And that's what I see happening here. And it may not make sense to you. Like, it might feel really weird, or it might feel like you're not acting like yourself or something. And that's where this energy of change, of closing and opening cycles comes in, is there's a really radical shift happening within you that requires you to like dive really deep into like the plumbing of your heart and your emotional space and how you feel about things and who you are. There's kind of a death process going on that is so deeply personal that it's not going to make sense to other people or even to you. And you might have days where you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, nothing here is really making sense. And then you're going to have other days where you have these like really profound realizations and you feel really centered. And it's kind of like the lights had to be turned off in order for you to go into that dream state, or something had to shift here so that you could go even deeper into yourself. And so the human part of you, the logical earthling part of you that wants to live a normal life and be a normal person and all of that, is going to look at this and be like, what the hell? Like, I need to be doing things, or I need to get back on that train. I don't have time to make repairs. And it's like, well, you're going to make some time here. This is a really intense kind of thing that you're going through deep within you. And it's going to kind of demand your attention, and it's going to feel uncomfortable at times. There might be fears that come up around like, I'm not doing enough, or I'm not normal enough, or this doesn't make sense. Your energy might shift a lot day to day. And Spirit's kind of asking you not to be attached to any one outcome or any one experience, and to really just go with the flow of how you feel. You could be really afraid of, again, like, not just not knowing what's happening next, but like not being prepared, or like not making the right steps, or like it's almost like you want to get to the next level of your life. You're like, I don't want to stay here. I don't want to stay stuck. I want to go. I want to move. It's a very fire sign energy, so very accurate for Sagittarius. And you're showing me this energy of like, I haven't done anything with my life. And you're being a bit hard on yourself, Sagittarius. Like, you've done a lot with your life. You're just showing me that you're ready to do more. You want to do more. And you're kind of showing me this repair process to your heart as like an inconvenience, and when can I get started again? When can I go? And it's like, Sagittarius, you're literally healing. Like, you're healing so much. You wouldn't look at a busted up car, not that you're a busted up car, but like your heart needs that level of attention. You wouldn't look at a busted up car in the garage and say, why isn't it moving again? You'd say, wow, let me take care of this car. Let me work on it a little bit. Let me make sure it has everything it needs before I take it off on the road. And that's kind of how I want you to think about this. When you start to be like, what's next? What's next? What's next? You do have that spark within you, right? You're a sparky, motivated, creative, inspiring, inspirational person. Sagittarius is, we want to get on the move. We're literally known for wanting to travel. So there's that part of you that wants to like light up like a flame and take off. And the fact that you're healing, it's gonna feel kind of counterintuitive in that sense, where it's like, well, you can't light up like a flame right now because your sparklers need to, I don't know, get whatever maintenance you would give a sparkler. You know what I mean? That's like your fire needs tending to. That's a better analogy. So take the time to tend to the fire. Let's look at that, your fire that you're tending here. There could be times where you're like, am I doing this right? Am I even doing this right? Am I even healing? Am I even on the right path? And you are on the right path. But again, this is going to be so unique to who you are and your own journey that it's not necessarily going to be like a college graduation or like finishing a 5K where you reach the finish line and you have all these people cheering for you. It's gonna be messy at times. It's gonna be lonely. It's gonna force you to look at things that maybe aren't so pretty. At times you're gonna be like, nobody understands me. You might feel like a moody teenager, and that's okay, because that is part of just moving through whatever you're moving through. And it really requires you to be even more present with yourself than maybe you've ever been in your entire life. So really profound time of healing and really profound time of change. Let's get 3 cards of advice for you, Sagittarius, and then we'll close out this reading. Knight of Swords, Knight of Wands, Nine of Pentacles. You're tired, Sagittarius. You're tired of rushing and rushing and rushing. And you're also being a bit hard on yourself and saying like, well, why can't I just keep up that pace that I'm used to going at? And Spirit kind of wants to tell you, like, you're going to be okay. Like, you're doing fine, and you're going to do fine in the future as well. If you need assurance that everything's okay, here's your assurance. It's okay. You're doing okay. You're doing more than okay, actually. You're doing something really important. And it might feel really destabilizing to slow down, but you're going to run yourself ragged if you don't slow down. And so whether that's, going slower mentally, meditating, taking breaks, not thinking so hard, not absorbing so much information, all of that, or literally slowing down physically and, not traveling as much or not, working so hard, whatever it is, Spirit wants you to know, like, it's okay. Like, you're going to be okay. For some of you, I'm also getting the message financially. You might be like, oh, I can't stop working, or I'm not going to be okay. Spirit saying you are. You have everything you need. You're going to be okay, and you're going to be provided for. And it's important, very important, that you give yourself this time to repair your heart and focus on yourself. Because it's a really important part of your journey, and it's a really important part of getting where you're going. So that's what I have for you, Sagittarius. I hope that this helps, and I hope that this resonates, and I'll see you next time.